Dream of God's Words. On Friday, 2nd February 2024 evening, we attended the Sabbath welcome service. The core message of the Vesper service was about Christian parenting. During the service, God's servant revealed that nowadays Christians are parenting their children to perform in churches or stages rather than doing true worshiping. Moreover, nowadays churches and worship places are becoming the place of entertainment. After the prayer service, I had my dinner, and I wanted to share my latest ebook, titled An Amazing Revelation of Yeshua the Messiah, the Unseen Story to People of Last Few Countries that were in my email list. But my email service provider didn't allow me, and getting message on screen that you reached the day's limit of sending emails. When sharing of ebook by email didn't work, I started going through the scriptures and asked God, what next? And God revealed me to work on two themes. First, related to the laws of God, and second, related to the God's church. Then, I continued to search the related scriptures, and as usual, my wife went to bed early. After some time, my flesh gave up as stated in Matthew chapter 26, verse 41. It says, "The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak." Around 1:30 a.m., my wife opened the washroom door, and I found myself sleeping. So I got up, shut down the laptop, and went to bed. But I could not sleep for next 1-2 hours. My mind was wandering on my ongoing problems and took away my peace. I made efforts to control it by myself, and tried to sleep, but I couldn't. I cried to God, why these things are happening to me on the day of rest? It never happened earlier. Then I had a short prayer quoting some Bible verses, what Yeshua promised in Matthew chapter 11 verse 28. Yeshua says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And scripture in Matthew chapter 12 verse 8, Mark chapter 2 verse 28, and Luke chapter 6 verse 5, where Yeshua says, "The Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath." I surrendered my body, soul, and spirit in the control of the Lord, and asked, let him use me the way he wants, and let me have the peace in my mind. In next 5 minutes, I got into deep sleep, and around 4:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. I had a dream. In the dream, my wife and I were with a group of believers in a country site. It was a pleasant moment, and all were enjoying the fellowship of each other. After some time, my wife asked me to open the book of Hosea 23 that she can read during the fellowship. But that moment, I didn't have physical Bible in my hand, and I didn't recall the said scripture. I handed over my mobile phone to her and asked to refer it from the digital Bible that is installed in my mobile phone. I also asked her to refer Psalm chapter 23, and at the same time, believers began to sing Psalm 23. When I got up, I opened the book of Hosea. I was surprised to know that the book has 14 chapters only. Now, I was puzzled and thought, let me go through the verse of 23 of each chapter and find one of the appropriate messages from them. I prayed to God to reveal me the appropriate message. And God comforted me from my anxiety by going through the chapters. Out of 14 chapters, I found 13 chapters that contain less than 20 verses. And in chapter 2, I found the 23rd verse. That was the last verse of the chapter. It was a great relief, which didn't lead me to any confusion in finding the message. Then I recalled the scripture, which says, "Our God is not the God of confusion, but of peace." This can be referred in 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33, James chapter 2 verse 17, Philippians chapter 4 verse 7, 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 verse 16, Galatians chapter 5 verse 22, and Romans chapter 15 verse 33. Reflection upon the message of Hosea 2:23. I reflected upon the message of Hosea 2:23. It says, "And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, Thou art my people. And they shall say, Thou art my God." Hosea was a prophet living in the northern kingdom of Israel during the mid-750s to early 720s BC. Prophet Hosea was gifted by God to perceive and discern the spiritual condition of kingdoms or nations, and be God's spokesperson of either blessing of judgment depending on that spiritual or moral state of being which was observed or discerned. The book of Hosea is almost exclusively about the falling away of Ephraim the northern tribe of Israel and their redemption. It is beautifully played out to show Father's everlasting love of covenant people, and verses from Hosea are reiterated many times in other books of the Bible. The context for verse 23 of the second chapter of Hosea itself depicts that the 11 verses of making up the first chapter and 22 verses of the second chapter leading to starting climax of Hosea chapter 2, verse 23. God is stating that he is taking a people that are not his, the Gentile nation. God was showing Israel, the northern kingdom, that he had rejected them as his people of their idolatry and sin, but Hosea the prophet shows God's grace even in his judgment. The people called not my people will be God's people in the same place where his judgment rained down on them. The name Hosea also means salvation, showing God's purpose to someday calling Ephraim back to covenant relationship and the land of Israel. Father's two sticks later in Hosea should be carefully examined. It will take place during the millennial kingdom when Yeshua, the Messiah, returns.